morning, crew. You know, I was thinking about the way that we as Americans seem to be led around by the nose, by the people who run our country, and the narrative that the Democrats and the liberals, I can't say all Democrats because there are some moderate Democrats who do have a little bit of sense, okay? But I'm talking about these flaming, blazing liberals. So, you know, I want to remind everybody that there's a basic law of nature. And that law says what you feed will live. And what you starve will die out. So, I got to thinking about all the movements going on. And when I say this, I'm making a general broad statement. I understand that. But that's important. Because while the statement's kind of broad, the target is really precise. Listen, I love black people because I love people in general, but I hate Black Lives Matter. Anytime you have to put a qualifier in front of the phrase lives matter, you obviously don't understand that lives matter. Period. I love the fact that people defend our republic against fascism and our society against fascism. But I hate ANTIFA. And the reason I hate those organizations is they feed the wolf. See, up until these movements started with people like, you know, oh my God, and I hate to go there, but I'm going to go there, okay, George Floyd. You know, here was a man who, he wasn't repentant about his life at all. All he did was leave Texas and go to Minnesota to continue doing the same things, and I'm sorry, but there are consequences for everything you do. I mean, if you want to invest your life and everything in it into crime, nothing really can be done about that until you're caught. Then you can be incarcerated. But if that's where your heart is, your mind and your soul, there are consequences for that, okay? Kind of like people who drink too much, people who smoke too much, anything. There are consequences. Some are good, some are bad. But what we have to remember here is that everything that we do will return to us in one way or another. So George Floyd was just another piece of shit out doing what a piece of shit does, which is breaking the law. Now, you know, Derek Chauvin might have been a little too hard on him. The bottom line is, had that piece of shit not been out doing what he was doing, he'd still be alive, right? If he was really reformed, like he said he was. So a lot of that got started with that. But what they did was they fed into this narrative that there is this thing called systemic racism. I hate that word. Let me tell you why. Most people don't know what systemic means. Okay? Systemic means that it is from the roots up, basically. That it has infected the entire plant. It's a word used in botany and agriculture. I mean, that's really kind of predominantly where it was used for the longest time. There is not systemic racism. there are systemic racist bastards who are black, white, red, yellow. That just happens. You're not going to get rid of that. People are imperfect. If you think for 2 seconds that burning your city down and raising hell is going to end racism, you're a fool. There is no such thing as a perfect society. There is no such thing as perfect people. I don't care who you are. That's all of us. Nobody's perfect. And to me, if you think your race has been done wrong, and then you go out and burn down your town and raise hell, well, that's like saying, you know, I got my ass kicked, so I think I'm going to punch myself in the eye. Hell, I'm going to whoop my own ass because I got my ass whooped. That's just stupid. Here's the thing, people. They want, and they, by they, I mean the liberals and the media right now, want to feed you this bullshit so that they'll have stories. I mean, because if you drop, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about every news story going on right now. If you drop the liberal agenda on racism, communism, and things that they want to see happen in this country, there wouldn't be much to report. There just wouldn't. People die every day, and tragedies happen, like in Miami. That's terrible. And you know, the conspiracy theorists are already over that. Y'all are dumbasses. Okay? Anything can happen. It's not like buildings are falling everywhere like that. There's one place a fluke happened. And it's a tragedy that people died, were injured, you know, jobs were lost, etc., etc. It's terrible, but it was a fluke. Okay? But the thing is that we need to quit feeding the wolf. So how do we do that? If the media and the liberals are feeding the wolf, how can we, you and I, as a conservative or a moderate, stop the feeding of the wolf? Well, first off, turn off the news. Watch something else. Because all they're feeding you is what they fed you yesterday with a little different twist. That's all. So let's say you don't want, because, you know, people want to know what's going on locally. And you're still going to get that because even the local stations run that garbage. So, outside of turning off the news and discouraging them from playing that crap, what else can you do? Well, let's think about that for a minute. First off, you're probably already doing it. You're just not being a racist. Most Americans are not. The majority, the overwhelming majority of U.S. citizens are not racist at all. So, knowing that, how is the wolf getting called in to be fed? Well, we got to stop electing officials, Republican, Democrat, Independent, don't matter, who feed into this narrative. AOC is the biggest idiot I've ever seen in my life. And Nancy Pelosi is the most evil bitch on the planet, I think. I mean, these are the most ungodly, immoral sons of bitches I've ever encountered in my life. And Joe Biden along with it. We just got to stop. Now, also, and more importantly, I think, is if we're going to change this tide, we have got to get involved locally. People say, you know, think globally, act globally. No. Act locally. If everybody, this is like house cleaning. You got 10 people that live in a house, right? If everybody cleans their own room, they act locally, the whole house globally will be clean. Get involved in your neighborhood, in your functions. Go fight the CRT, critical race theory. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life. You know, here's the thing. When 14% of the population, 14% of the population are responsible for 65 to 70% of all the crime. Yeah, that's a race problem. It's not my problem, though. And as a white person, I know that sounded bad, okay? But as a white person, I can't change how black families run their lives. Black families can't change how I run my life. But I can tell you this, I don't condone it. And I won't put up with it, and I won't tolerate that kind of thing. And again, that's acting locally, right? I mean, really? We act locally. In our own community. In our own family. Starting within our own doors. And we change the narrative at home to shun the garbage that they're pushing on us. Think about it. Start at home. It always starts at home. Love you guys. Peace.